the issue raised by Jared Okello was very clear. The office of the Deputy President, the whole of the office, as I think Junetta summarized it very well. Now we want the leader of government business in the House, the majority leader, to assure the House and the country that the dignity of the office of the Deputy President is not at stake, and more importantly, that the Deputy President is provided with resources to discharge his duties and responsibilities in a manner that brings honor and dignity to the office. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to, as you have guided, restrict myself to the issues that were raised by the Honorable Jared Okello, without delving much into the issues of whether this was a reality TV show or acting and drama. Honorable Speaker, to confirm to the House and to the country that both the President, the Deputy President, and also the Prime Cabinet Secretary, all Cabinet Secretaries, and indeed, even members of Parliament, are well and adequately provided for in terms of budgetary allocations, including budgetary allocations for travel and staffing in all our respective offices. And Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Jared Okello will bear me witness that last week, only last week on Thursday, Honorable Speaker, we did pass the supplementary appropriations bill, and also we are in the process now of finalizing the appropriations bill of the 2024-2025 financial year. And if any Kenyan looks into the books of accounts of the national government, you will realize that the office of the Deputy President is very well resourced. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, maybe it's good to just put it into perspective because the Honorable Jared Okello has raised the issue. And there are issues that touch on, as you have guided, on the budget of the office of the Deputy President or the presidency, issues that touch on security of the person of the Deputy President and that of the President. And also, Honorable Speaker, what the Honorable Junet has referred to as the honor and dignity that comes with the offices that we all hold, not just the President and Deputy President, but even us as members of Parliament. And Honorable Speaker, in confirming that there are adequate resources, including resources for air transportation, Honorable Speaker, both for fixed airwing, aircraft, for helicopters, and even if the Deputy President opted to travel by sea, there are adequate resources for him to travel by sea, by SGR, or even by coast bus to any other bus, Honorable Speaker. And let me also say, Honorable Speaker, it is not unusual, because I don't know why anybody would think it's unusual for the Deputy President to travel with our national carrier, Kenya Airways. Honorable Speaker, I have witnessed holders of that office in the person of William Ruto, our current president, use not just Kenya Airways. In fact, last week when he traveled to South Korea, he took a commercial airliner to South Korea to and fro. The only difference is that he never posed for any photograph anywhere. I have also witnessed when he was Deputy President, William Ruto traveled not just on Kenya Airways, but used jumbo jets to Mombasa, to Eldoret. He has used Skyward and Renegade, and the other, not 540, there's another airline that Safari Link to Masai Mara. And therefore, it is not unusual. I think the only unusual thing that happened yesterday, Honorable Speaker, and maybe that may have gotten the attention of the Honorable Jared Okello, was the Deputy President towing a bag, a new bag, brand new bag, as the Honorable Junet says, that could not even fit into the compartments in the aeroplane, towing the bag and posing for a photograph. But unfortunately, I think, Honorable Speaker, on matters touching on security, the Deputy President was also very well secured yesterday, and I can confirm that to the country. he had with him not less than 19 bodyguards, 14 of whom he was to travel with on that aircraft. Therefore, he had no problems with people to carry his bags. Let nobody think that the deputy president had problems on people to carry his bags. He had not less than 3 photographers to take the photographs, Honorable Speaker.
Majority. Yes, Junaid, what's the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I wish to ask the majority leader whether he's correctly saying that a plane that was to carry 60 people, 14 were supposed to be bodyguards of the deputy president in that plane. Can you tell the parliament in broad daylight that 14 were members of his security detail out of 60 members, a third of the plane, and cameramen and the other things?
Honorable Speaker, the information I have, the deputy president did not just appear for the photograph. The deputy president was driven to the airside with his full security detail, including the presidential guards that guard him from the Wrecker Squad. They were there with him. There were adequate, not less than 14 officers traveling with him on that plane, including photographers, security men, bloggers, protocol people, including the former MP for Nyeri, who I hear is a chief blogger in that office now, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I was just making the point that the deputy president was not short of staff and personnel to carry his bags, including photographers who are taking those photos, Honorable Speaker, and therefore his security was not in question at all. True, Honorable Speaker, in terms of the dignity and honor that comes with that office, Honorable Speaker, I think the deputy president had this flight paid for by the government of Kenya using taxpayers' money. And to give his office the honor and dignity, those who are keen observers did observe he was seated on seat 1A of that flight. The chief blogger in his office, the former member for Nyeri, was seated on seat 2A. That's in the business class, Honorable Speaker. And others, including his security officers, I think 2 are seated in the business class with him, and many others were seated in the economic compartment. And therefore, let me assure the country that the deputy president within that flight was very safe. There is nothing unusual in him taking commercial flights. Indeed, many of you who attended the national prayer breakfast will remember His Excellency the President affirming that out of the austerity measures that government has instituted and which we effected through the Supplementary Appropriations Bill, that his office, that of the Deputy President, and that of the Prime Cabinet Secretary had cut their budgets substantially. And therefore, I only want to encourage the President, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Deputy President, when they travel, to bear in mind those austerity measures, but at least to reduce the delegations, if not anything. I am certain nothing would happen to you when you are up there in the skies. Therefore, 1 or 2 security officers might be adequate. You do not need 3 or 4 photographers to travel with you on that plane. You can send some by SGR or others to drive to Mombasa. Therefore, I want to encourage all our government officers to bear in mind that we are in a tough situation and austerity measures that government has instituted, including Parliament, Honorable Speaker. I was pleasantly surprised the other day when I saw members of Parliament carpooling to travel to Naivasha because they thought it was easier to hold their meeting where they were holding and carpool. And Honorable Speaker, this should be the spirit, Honorable Speaker. But also, Honorable Speaker, more importantly, because I have seen these questions being raised, especially by bloggers, is the Deputy President entitled to use of military aircraft? Honorable Speaker, I did engage the Cabinet Secretary for Defense, and indeed I have asked, Honorable Speaker, so that we may put this matter to rest, I will be writing to the Cabinet Secretary for Defense to appear before this House in plenary that only the president and the first lady, the president as commander-in-chief, since we don't have a deputy commander-in-chief, has access to military aircraft. The deputy president has a police aircraft designated for his use, which currently is under maintenance, and the cabinet secretary tells me in the next few weeks they will have finalized with its maintenance, because it is not just a police aircraft that is maintained by government, but whenever the deputy president is flying that aircraft, for his safety and security, bearing in mind the office he holds, is usually flown and operated by Kenya Air Force pilots and servicemen, Honorable Speaker, so that we can assure the deputy president's safety, assure the country of the deputy president's safety. Honorable Speaker, when the Kenya Kwanza government took over, I am also informed, Honorable Speaker, our defense forces would occasionally allow senior government officers to use their aircrafts at times on request. And ordinarily, government policy is when any senior government officer like the deputy president or the prime cabinet secretary intends to use a military aircraft, because these aircraft are designated for operational work by the military, to request for use of a particular aircraft, whether it's a helicopter or a Dash 8 or a fixed-wing aircraft, through the office of the head of public service, Felix Kosgei. Honorable Speaker, let me put it on record, because I have checked those facts. The day that the Honorable Okello refers to on Madaraka Day, the office of the Deputy President never because I would not know why he decided to get late. Because either way, you could also choose, like the Honorable Speaker chose, to go and spend the night in Bungoma or in Kisumu and be near the function, or wake up early like many of us did to travel. The same with the incident that the Honorable Jared Okello speaks to this Sunday in Nakuru at the Akorino Church. It is true, the Deputy President arrived over an hour later than the President. The President was magnanimous and courteous enough to be able to receive his deputy. And, Honorable Speaker, I can also confirm, because I was to join you in Laikipia, we left Nairobi at exactly the same time with the Deputy President at about 10:44 a.m. when his chopper was lifting from his current residence. Honorable Speaker, we traveled together. There was a slight challenge with the weather, I can confirm, Honorable Speaker, around Mount Longonot. And we were able to maneuver through within a period that did not exceed 5 minutes. As to why the Deputy President chose to tell the country that he had transport and weather challenges, Honorable Speaker, on the pulpit in church, again, I would not be able to be in a position to tell why the person serving in the office of a Deputy President would choose to tell what is not true while standing at a pulpit in a church, Honorable Speaker. And since, Honorable Speaker, you have guided, we are not here to discuss the conduct of any person. I do not want to dwell into that, but to assure the country that both the President, the Deputy President, the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, from what the Minister for Defense has informed me, may, in writing, ask for use of military aircraft. And, Honorable Speaker, the Defense Cabinet Secretary did inform me that for the last 1 year, the aircraft that were being used by the Deputy President, the Prime Cabinet Secretary's office, and other senior government officers occasioned an expenditure of 500 million shillings, 500 million shillings to KDF. KDF has written to the various offices, and the office of the Deputy President has written back declining to share in the costs of the wear and tear and fuel of these aircrafts. And that is why the Kenya Defense Forces and the Ministry of Defense made a policy decision that should any officer want to use military aircraft, it must be on request, since all these offices have resources appropriated to them for air travel. Therefore, if you use a Kenya Defense aircraft for fuel, for wear and tear, you pay for it from the budget in your office. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, should cry foul that they have not been allowed to use military aircraft. Only the President, as Commander-in-Chief, has unfettered access to use of military aircraft, but that aircraft that is designated from the Kenya Police, that is under maintenance, and I must insist, that maintenance, Honorable Speaker, you've seen what has happened in our neighboring country and our compatriots in Malawi, and may the Lord rest the soul of the Vice President of Malawi and the people who perished in the air crash, in internal peace, Honorable Speaker. We would not fathom that happening to any of the officers serving in our government. And you remember, Honorable Speaker, I'm also informed many of those aircrafts, including the ones used by the President, were put to a rigorous maintenance program following the unfortunate incident where we lost our Chief of Defense Forces. And therefore, it is only fair that we allow our military and those who take care of these aircraft to service them and avail them for use by senior government officers when they are in good and serviceable condition, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me, I think I have adequately answered to that, but I want to commit, this is just a preliminary answer to the Honorable Jared Okello. I have since spoken to the Defense Cabinet Secretary and asked him, I'll be writing to him to come and appraise the House as to exactly how senior government officers should move, how secure the aircrafts they are using are, and how often they service them, and any challenges that they may have with those aircrafts, Honorable Speaker. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, let me speak to many people, Honorable Speaker, because I saw a very unfortunate post yesterday on social media by those bloggers who work in those big offices, Honorable Speaker, anticipating the demise or the occurrence of a vacancy in the office of the President. Honorable Speaker, there are things people may do casually and post online. And I remember, Honorable Speaker, when my predecessor, the Honorable Charles Jonjo, was Attorney General and Minister for Constitutional Affairs, he made it treasonable to even imagine the death of a president. We are not in that age, Honorable Speaker. But it's unfortunate that bloggers who work for senior officers of this government can post write-ups on social media, either wishing, anticipating, or praying for the occasioning of a vacancy in the office of the President, and purporting that the Deputy President is only an inch away from the presidency should anything happen to the President. Honorable Speaker, these are things we may take lightly. Just as we may take lightly the talk that you referred to by the Governor for Nyeri, or indeed the talk about people going to their villages. And I want to agree with Honorable Soro. These are the kind of things, Honorable Speaker, in 2007, 2008 that led us into the problems that we got into with post-election violence. When people were told to go back to their villages. Honorable Speaker, it is true we all come from villages. But please, when we hold senior government positions, we must grow beyond our villages. We must remember that we bear a greater responsibility to the people of Kenya way beyond our villages. And whatever words we utter out of our mouths, Honorable Speaker, must be words that unite the people of Kenya, not those that create divisions. Because if you create division, Honorable Speaker, you are bringing dishonor. And, Honorable Speaker, dealing a big blow to the dignity that the office you hold would have, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, as I said, Honorable Speaker, over the weekend elsewhere, respect is earned. Respect is earned. Honorable Speaker, there are members of parliament here who have suffered. Members of parliament from Nyeri will tell you how much they have suffered. The women rep for Baringo County, if she had an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, she would tell you the unpalatable words that have been used to describe her. Honorable Speaker, and I said, let us earn our respect as leaders. If I demand respect, let me respect the member of parliament for Baringo County. Let me respect the members of parliament from Nyeri. Let me respect the members of parliament from Mount Kenya and across the country.
Who do you want to inform? Madenge.
Yeah?
Majority wind up.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Madenge, take your seat.
No, the member for Nyeri, I think, had me mentioning how much they have suffered. Honorable Speaker, maybe I would allow him 1 minute to inform me.
He wanted to inform you. Do you want information?
I would oblige him to inform me.
1 minute, Madenge.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I speak on behalf of the 6 elected members of parliament in Nyeri County. And this also includes both the senator and the women rep. We have really suffered intimidation and blackmail. And it is imperative that as elected leaders, we be allowed the space to execute the mandate that the ordinary people in Nyeri gave us when they voted for us. It is not possible that the people of Nyeri voted for us so that we can follow an individual when that individual goes dancing, drinking Moratina, and eating nyamachoma. It is not possible. And it's not even in Nyeri. It is in, the dancing is happening in Honorable Kejori's constituency. We want to speak from the floor of this house and inform the country that respect is two-way. You cannot disrespect us in other constituencies and expect us to maintain the respect that we have accorded you for the last 2 years. Respect is earned. It is not demanded. It is not coerced.
You've made your information.
Enforced. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Wind up. Wind up, majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to end up, Honorable Speaker, by just saying, I was saying, Honorable Speaker, just as the Honorable DMM has said, that as national leaders, let us earn our respect. Let us not demean other leaders. Let us not coerce. Let us not intimidate other leaders. And more importantly, Honorable Speaker, let us not seek to blackmail anybody, whether it's members of parliament, whether it's government institutions, or any other officer serving in government, Honorable Speaker. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, as leader of majority, I have said it elsewhere, and I'll repeat it on this floor, Honorable Speaker. I will never, for the time the Almighty God will give me the opportunity to serve in the office of leader of majority, allow anybody to demean any member of parliament, whether you are in the minority, in the majority, whether you come from the same village with somebody or not. I will never sit back, and I will protect the rights of all members of parliament as their leader and as a leader in this house, Honorable Speaker, because in doing so, I believe I am protecting the dignity of not only this house, Honorable Speaker, and individual members, but the dignity and honor of the people who have elected these members of parliament. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I may commit that I will I'll be writing to the Cabinet Secretary of Defense to answer more substantially to the issues raised by the Honorable Jared Okello.
Thank you. As you do so, the Honorable Minority Leader has requested me to give him a minute on this, and he will be the very last. And take into account what he will say in what you intend to...
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really didn't want to speak to this, but I think it is my